This is an insanely powerful game-breaking skill. Kang Hyun doesn't realize what it truly means to never die, even when he might want to. He becomes the most infamous hunter on Earth, cursed with an immortal body. For the survival of humanity, or perhaps for a world that's already lost, he resurrects alone, once again, today. The undead, with their eternal life and dark power, believe that conquering Earth will be a simple task. They march forward with confidence, certain of their victory. But as their invasion unfolds, they encounter a human unlike any they have ever faced, a man they cannot kill, no matter how hard they try. One of the undead, puzzled and frustrated, looks at this mysterious man, wondering how he manages to survive their relentless attacks. The man emerges from the flames with a fierce, wild smile, his eyes burning with determination. He is stronger than them, and his voice is full of unshakable confidence. Without hesitation, he charges at them, unleashing his fury, and in a swift, powerful attack, he destroys the undead, leaving nothing but ashes behind. 2 years before the epic battle, Kang lives with his sister, Hyun, in a tense small apartment. Frustrated by Kang's endless gaming and drinking, Hyun snaps, telling him he might as well move back in with their dad. Her words cut deep, and Kang retreats to his room, wishing life could be like a video game. As he drifts off to sleep, Kang suddenly finds himself in a strange place. System messages inform him that Earth has connected with a mysterious dimension called Hoenn, and a tutorial program begins. He must complete 8 stages to awaken. Fear grips Kang when he sees Hyun is there too. They argue but realize it's not a dream. Facing the challenge, they cross a crumbling bridge over lava, narrowly surviving. A system message congratulates them for surviving the first stage and announces their temporary awakening. Back in the real world, they're confused and disbelieving. Was it just a dream? But they soon discover others have had the same terrifying experience, marking the start of a 5-year process that will change their lives forever. Kang and Hyun step out of their rooms at the same time, their faces tense with the weight of recent events. They talk about what happened, trying to make sense of their strange experiences. But as they continue, frustration builds, and they end up snapping at each other. The tension doesn't last long as their growling stomachs remind them they haven't eaten. They decide to grab something to eat before continuing their conversation. As they eat, they check the internet for answers. To their shock, they discover that the bizarre event wasn't just a dream. It was real, affecting people worldwide. This realization hits hard. Kang learns that while dying in the dream doesn't mean dying in real life, it has left many traumatized. Strangely, Kang isn't as disturbed as he thought he'd be. He decides that staying indoors is the safest option, away from the chaos outside. Kang walks to the window and looks outside. He sees people fighting over food, protesting, and looting. The world outside is falling apart. Hyun mentions that going to work probably isn't an option anymore. Kang agrees, realizing it's too dangerous to step outside. Kang's thoughts shift, and he asks Hyun if she remembers anything about the Hoenn connection. She recalls something and asks if he's checked his status window. Kang feels frustrated for not checking it earlier. When he finally does, he discovers they have 5 years to prepare. The weight of the unknown presses on him, making him wonder if that will be enough time. They decide to stay home until the outside world calms down. Kang notices how focused Kang's thoughts have become. As night falls and Korea quiets, Kang, exhausted, goes to bed, but wakes to a floating system window. It welcomes him back to the tutorial, offering a review. Skipping it, Kang checks his status and discovers Rebirth, a powerful ability that excites him, though he's unsure of its strength. Curiosity drives Kang to read the detailed description of his ability. He learns that it allows him to come back to life 24 hours after dying. If he doesn't choose a specific place to revive, he'll return to the last place he slept. But there's a penalty. His level will drop by 1, and all his stats will be reduced by 50% for 24 hours after revival. However, this penalty doesn't apply during the tutorial program. Kang feels joy. This ability might be the key to his survival. The system asks if he wants to move on to the second stage, and without hesitation, he agrees, eager for the challenge. With Rebirth on his side, he feels invincible, ready to face whatever comes next, though he has no idea what's waiting for him. The second stage hits Kang like a cold splash of reality. He faces a grotesque goblin monster, its appearance horrifying. Kang steels himself, grabs his weapon, and charges at the creature with all his might. He yells as he swings the mace, channeling his fear and determination into the blow. The stage is simple: defeat enemies and prove his strength. Kang manages to kill the goblin with a powerful hit, crushing its skull. But the victory is hollow. The sight of the goblin's lifeless body and the rancid smell churns his stomach. It's the first time he's ever killed anything, and it doesn't feel good. He moves forward, feeling only a small sense of pride. He barely defeated the weak goblin and knows he could have been the one lying dead on the ground. As Kang walks forward, his heart still pounding, he spots another goblin. But this one is different, bigger, meaner, and far more terrifying. Panic grips him as he realizes this goblin isn't just stronger, it's also furious. It spots the body of its fallen comrade and roars with rage. A system window labels the creature as a goblin warrior. This warrior wields a massive sword with a glowing red aura. Kang's panic deepens. He thought he was ready, but this goblin warrior is on a different level. He realizes that if he gets hit by that weapon, it could be fatal. The goblin warrior laughs cruelly, sending chills down Kang's spine. It charges at him with overwhelming speed and power. Kang tries to brace himself, but his body is weak and unprepared. His weapon suddenly feels pitiful in comparison. The goblin warrior doesn't waste time and begins pummeling Kang mercilessly, each blow sending waves of pain through his body. But the goblin doesn't kill him outright. It seems to take pleasure in drawing out his suffering, inflicting terrible injuries one after another. Kang can't do anything but endure the agony, his mind reeling from the brutality. Then the goblin warrior drags Kang away, and a new terror grips him. He's powerless, helpless, unable to resist. All he can do is wish for an escape, for this nightmare to end, or for someone to rescue him. As he's dragged across the ground, Kang's thoughts blur with pain and despair. He never imagined that facing a goblin could be this terrifying, that it could end like this. He realizes just how much blood a person can lose before death finally claims them, especially when that death comes at the hands of relentless goblins. Hyun wakes up in a cold sweat, her heart pounding with fear. She quickly goes to Kang's room, her mind racing with worry. The strange dreams have returned, and dread fills her. As she opens the door, her headache throbs, but what she sees freezes her in shock. Kang is huddled under a blanket, trembling with fear, his eyes wide with despair. Kang looks up, pale and sad, and tells her he died in the dream. His voice shakes as he describes the nightmare. Goblins torturing him, tearing off his fingernails, breaking his fingers, pulling out his teeth. The horror in his voice makes Hyun's stomach churn, and she begs him to stop, unable to listen any longer. When she asks if Kang has been crying, he snaps at her, anger in his eyes. He says she wouldn't understand unless she went through it herself. Even the strongest would cry after what he experienced. But then, she notices a flicker of a joke in his expression, and she feels a bit relieved, realizing he's trying to lighten the mood. Hyun asks if Kang needs to go to the hospital. Kang shakes his head, surprised by the question. Many are having psychological issues because of these dreams, but he can't afford the hospital bills. Kang sighs with relief and mentions that since he died in the stage, the tutorial is over for him. Kang's face brightens a bit, thinking the nightmare might finally be over. But that night, peace is far from his reach. Kang wakes up again, and his heart sinks when a system window appears, informing him that he has to repeat the second stage. Frustration explodes within him, and he screams into the darkness, cursing. The system coldly tells him he won't face the resurrection penalty because of his rebirth ability during the tutorial. Desperate to escape, Kang tries to go back to sleep, hoping time will pass, but nothing changes. The nightmare remains. Thoughts of ending his life cross his mind, but he knows it would only bring him back to the same point. Realizing there's no way out, he steels himself to complete the mission. Determined, Kang chooses a weapon. Last time, he picked a mace, but this time he goes for a bow and spear, hoping ranged combat will give him an advantage. He aims carefully at 2 goblins with his bow, but only scratches one. The goblins find him quickly and charge. Grabbing his spear, Kang prepares to fight, knowing it's hard to be perfect on the first try. He runs at one goblin, puts all his strength into the attack, and kills it with a single blow. But as he struggles to pull the spear out, the other goblin strikes him down instantly. Kang wakes up in a panic, but this time, there's strange relief. He died quickly, without suffering the torture he feared. But soon enough, he's back in the second stage, again. This time, he chooses a sword and shield, thinking he might have better luck. He even watches YouTube videos on sword fighting, feeling more prepared. But once more, he is killed, and frustration builds inside him. Hearing his cries of anger, Hyun opens his door, shocked by what she sees. Kang's face has a wild, eerie look, and he's laughing in a way that sends chills down her spine. The next day, Kang enters the second stage for the 4th time. Before stepping into the fortress, he practices swinging his sword, determined to improve his skills. After 8 hours of practice, his endurance stat increases. Exhausted, he collapses, his body aching. But there's a glimmer of hope. Opening his status window, Kang sees he has earned an extra point to add to any stat. He adds it to his strength and charges at the goblin again, feeling more confident. But just like before, he's too exhausted and is quickly defeated. On his 5th attempt, Kang trains harder, pushing himself to the limit. His endurance increases again. By the 6th try, he manages to take down 2 goblins, but his body is still weak. On his 7th attempt, Kang swings his sword non-stop. His endurance rises, but he collapses from exhaustion. As he lies there, a system window informs him he has learned basic swordsmanship, rank F. The skill isn't impressive, but to Kang, it feels like a victory. He grabs his sword, heart pounding with excitement. This time, he's ready. He's determined to kill every last one of those goblins. Kang carefully reviews the information about the second stage, his heart pounding with anticipation. He learns he must face 5 goblins, 2 in the fortress and 3 in the forest. The 2 in the fortress don't worry him anymore. He plans to surprise the first with a swift arrow and take down the second with a precise strike. But the real challenge lies in the forest, where 3 goblins wait. Venturing into the forest, Kang defeats 2 goblins using the same tactics. But the final goblin is different, stronger, faster, and more cunning. Locked in a fierce battle, Kang raises his shield just in time to block a wild swing, feeling the impact through his arm. He notices his fighting skills have sharpened. He predicts the goblin's moves, his body reacting as if his swordsmanship skill has truly come alive. However, after battling 4 goblins, Kang's endurance wears thin. The goblin sees this and knocks the sword from his hand with a powerful strike. Panic surges as the goblin keeps attacking relentlessly. Just as it seems Kang will lose, a calm smile spreads across his face. He dodges the next strike with surprising grace. Kang finally understands the goblins' fighting style. They enjoy toying with their enemies. Seizing the moment, he kicks dirt into the goblin's eyes. The goblin thrashes in pain, losing its vision. Kang grabs a rock and smashes it into the goblin's leg. The goblin howls, swinging its weapon blindly. Kang darts behind it, and, as the Goblin's vision clears, leaps forward and delivers a final, crushing blow to its face. The Goblin falls, lifeless. Breathing heavily, Kang realizes he has completed the second stage. Exhilaration fills him as the system rewards him with 5 stat points and a new weapon choice. He also gains 2 new skills, Basic Shield and Basic Bow. As more system messages flash, he learns his level has increased twice. Laughing triumphantly, he declares this is the true power of humans. Returning to the real world, Kang decides to celebrate by cooking breakfast. But his moment of peace is interrupted when Hyun bursts through the door. System messages appear, announcing that Earth's tutorial program is complete, and users can now use the system freely. Kang and Han exchange shocked glances. But their concern grows when another message states that dungeons have been activated. They rush outside to see a glowing red gate. A message declares that only the awakened can enter. Similar gates are appearing worldwide, and a countdown begins, 4 years and 354 days until the full connection between Horn and Earth. Chaos ensues as dungeons appear. Kang and Hyun decide to stay inside, determined to figure out what's happening. Kang realizes he must face the third stage head-on. With renewed confidence, he steps into the night, ready for whatever comes next, only to be met with a golden liquid dripping onto his face in disgust. As Kang and Hyun navigate this dangerous new reality, their journey is only beginning. With dungeons appearing worldwide and the countdown to Earth's full connection with Horn ticking down, the stakes have never been higher. Will Kang's newfound powers be enough to protect them both? And what other challenges lie ahead in the next stages of the tutorial? If you're eager to find out, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue this epic story. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next chapter. Get ready for the ultimate showdown. Kang Hyun H is no ordinary hunter. He's the strongest there is, but with a curse that won't let him die, even when he wishes for it. Immortal, unbreakable, and feared by all, Kang faces a world on the brink of collapse. Today, he rises once again, alone, to face the monsters threatening humanity. But will his unbeatable strength be enough to save a world that might already be lost? Buckle up, because this is just the beginning of Kang's unstoppable journey. In Stage 3, Kang faces a formidable challenge, defeating the Gurkha chieftain. He knows that patience and determination are key to overcoming this obstacle. Wearing his ghillie suit, Kang feels a surge of excitement as he prepares to sneak in and eliminate the enemy. However, before he can proceed, he decides to learn more about the Gurkha. Kang checks his status window and is thrilled to see that he has reached level 4 with all his stats improved. While he is happy with his progress, he is slightly disappointed that his new abilities are still at the lowest rank. He allocates his extra skill points into strength, stamina, and agility. Suddenly, he remembers to check his inventory and gasps at the sight of a sword, the coolest item he has ever seen. With everything in place, Kang feels ready to find the Gurkha. Inspired by the legendary sniper, Carlos Halfcock, he crawls for about 10 hours, steadily approaching his target. As Kang nears the Gurkha camp, he spots 2 guards. He wonders if he will have to engage in combat. Unfortunately, his pants are soaked from attempting to blend in with bare grass, and bugs crawl all over him. Suddenly, a shadow looms over him. He looks up and sees a Gurkha staring down at him. At first, Kang thinks he has been caught, but then realizes he has not. Panic begins to creep in, and he tells himself to remain strong. Just then, Kang feels his calmness slipping away. Without thinking, he yells that he is going to cut it off and charges at the Gurkha. In a shocking twist, he stabs the Gurkha chieftain in a sensitive area. Kang feels bad for the Gurkha as it falls to the ground. He laughs, realizing he has cut off something useless. The other Gurkhas stare at him in disbelief, and soon, the mumble turns into a loud scream that echoes through the camp. Gurkhas emerge from all directions, surrounding Kang. Instead of feeling scared, Kang finds himself laughing. He yells that he is going to rock their world, feeling brave. With that, he unlocks the skill Raging Lion Roar of Rage. Blood flies as Kang fights, and he jumps into the second round, shouting to bring it on. He charges forward, not even wearing his ghillie suit. Kang remembers that the Gurkha's warriors leave during the day to hunt and only return at night. This means the camp is weakest during the day, and he quickly takes out 3 Gurkhas before heading for the chief's tent. Sliding through the doorway, Kang sees purple lights glowing and the Gurkha sitting on his throne. The chieftain points at him, and 2 shamans start casting their magic. Kang feels stuck by a low-rank spell and wonders why the tutorial includes such a challenge. But he remembers that his lion's roar of rage can remove all debuffs. Taking a deep breath, he uses the skill, which scares the Gurkha but frees him from the magic's hold. With newfound energy, Kang charges forward, leaping through the air with his sword ready. He declares that everyone has a plan until they get hit by the sword, slicing down and defeating the Gurkha. He has successfully cleared stage 3. As a reward, he receives the intermediate rank body regeneration skill. Because he completed it so quickly, he also earns the title Impatient One, which gives him an extra point to all his stats. Kang is amazed that he broke through stage 3 in just 1 day, considering it took him a week to finish stage 2. He starts to believe he might be really talented. At this rate, he thinks he could even conquer stage 4 in just a few minutes. A month passes, and it has been 25 days since special squads of Awakeners were sent to clear dungeons. Amazingly, 40% of all discovered dungeons have been cleared, and civilian Awakeners continue to get stronger. The government announces that rewards will be given for these efforts. Amidst all this, Kang screams with excitement, and a voice reminds him that he is back at it again. He knows the neighbors will complain if he keeps making so much noise. Hyan, Kang's companion, peeks in and asks if he got hit in the back of the head with an arrow today. Kang steps out of his room, proudly declaring that he cleared it and went in to mess everyone up. Hyan tells him it is time to eat and expects him to throw another fit. But when she goes to congratulate him, she is surprised to see him towering above her. Hyan remarks that his face looks weird. Kang sits with a frown, feeling annoyed by the tutorial people. Hyan notices and asks why he looks so angry. She rolls her eyes and tells him to cheer up, saying he seems like a bad guy lately. Kang is surprised and reminds her not to talk to her brother like that. Hyan changes the subject and asks about stage 4. She reminds him that he is staying at her place for free. Kang explains that it is a group project where they have to be leaders and take out the dungeon core. The goal is to escape without leaving anyone behind. He says it is like pretend, where the other players act like characters in a game. They argue about whether to go forward or go back, but they decide to finish the dungeon, even though they do not have enough food. Hyan asks what is wrong, and Kang sighs. He remembers the night when the other players attacked and killed him while he was sleeping, even though he told them not to. He swallows quickly and says that every time they try, it fails. He has to use his smart brain to figure out how to get through. He laughs and says he just needs to beat up anyone who gets in his way before finishing stage 4. In the dungeon, one player says they should keep going, while another says they do not have enough food. Kang gets mad. He uses Lion's Roar Rage and tells everyone to listen to him or he will hurt them. When one of the players argues with him, Kang punches him over and over until he cries. Kang focuses on the other players and says they should follow him because he knows the way. He feels strong with his high stats. Suddenly, a skeleton attacks. Kang grabs its sword, pulls it to the side, and hits it in the head with the handle, breaking it. He says that is the last one. The other players watch in amazement as he defeats all the monsters, their bodies on the floor. With the dungeon core broken, Kang finishes stage 4. A message pops up, congratulating him with rewards. He gets a new skill called One Cut Two Halves, a ring that makes him strong and smart, rank B, and a level up. He is happy with what he earned and realizes he can collect items from the monsters. The one-cut two-house skill works just like it says, and the ring makes him immune to low-level mind magic. He feels proud of his rewards. Sweating, Kang thinks about how much stronger he is now. He does 300 one-arm push-ups, joking about special medicine. He wonders if he should go to the gym. Suddenly, his phone makes a noise. It is an alert saying a dungeon has opened and everyone should stay inside. He hears screams and sees lowlifes attacking. He cannot find a sword, so he grabs a kitchen knife. He yells at the lowlifes, knowing he cannot use his skills, but he has their attention. He stabs one in the head, throws its body away, and takes its sword, saying he will use it well. Kang jumps into an office building where lowlifes are trying to break in. Inside, Hyan, who works there, looks at her phone, wondering about Kang. She hears screams as something fights the lowlifes and sees a bloody flip-flop on some papers. Kang, covered in blood, says he accidentally broke it and tells Hyan that he is there, looking like a bad guy. Kang walks into the office and waves at Hyan, letting her know he has arrived. Hyan feels embarrassed because Kang is covered in blood. She asks him about his appearance as others stare at him in shock. A man suddenly confronts Kang, angry that he destroyed the barricade. Hyan quickly explains that Kang is the department chief. Kang apologizes, saying he cannot control his strength. He reassures everyone that there is no need to worry about the monsters because he defeated them alone. Kang then instructs everyone to pick up weapons. He tells them that even normal people can handle a lowlife if they stay calm. When Kang starts to leave, Hyan asks where he is going. Kang says he wants to be ready for the upper floors and hopes to get some rest later. Later, Hyan treats Kang's wounds. Kang asks if it is wise to use water since their situation is uncertain. Hyan tells him to stay quiet because it is a saline solution. She comments that Kang gets hurt often, even when he tries to act tough. Kang explains that he usually uses his regeneration skill to recover, but cannot use it now. Hyan warns him to be careful since he cannot come back to life if he dies. She teases him, saying it serves him right for getting hurt. Despite Hyan's warnings, her colleagues are curious about Kang. One senior even asks Hyan if she would introduce Kang to them. Kang blushes and wonders if Hyan would be okay with someone who curses a lot. That night, Kang wakes up to a strange status window. He overhears people talking about a succubus, a nightmare demon in disguise. Kang suspects that the women around him might be part of a trap. By the campfire, Kang reflects on the stages of his journey. He realizes everything is part of a bigger plan. He apologizes for cursing God and decides to be cautious. When Kang wakes up again, he sees that the army has arrived. However, as soldiers shoot at the monsters, a powerful red lowlife appears. It easily destroys a truck and kills soldiers. Kang watches in shock as the situation worsens. The red lowlife turns its dangerous aura toward him. Confusion reigns among the soldiers as one reports that Squad 3 has been wiped out. Corporal Jung Ja-hoon, nursing a headache from an earlier accident, demands to know about their signaler and requests backup. He learns that they are sending a civilian talent, a term used for their version of awakeners. Frustrated, Hoon wonders if they are really sending just one person to handle the situation. Suddenly, a red lowlife leaps from the truck. Hoon tries to fire his gun, but it jams at the worst moment. As the lowlife approaches, Kang quickly throws a piece of concrete, hitting the creature squarely in the face and sending it flying. Hoon watches in shock as Kang hops onto the truck and asks if the soldiers are okay. With a creepy smile, Kang assures them that many people depend on him in this situation. Feeling panicked, Hoon points his gun at Kang, accusing him of being a monster. Kang insists he is human and tells Hoon to lower his weapon. Hoon repeats the word human and Kang quips if he had a stroke. Hoon admits that Kang seems strong, but was caught off guard. Understanding this, Kang reassures him that he nearly died himself. Hoon thanks him, and Kang clarifies that he is not here out of a sense of justice. As Kang notices the lowlife getting back up, he realizes it might target Hyan's company next. He decides it's better to handle the threat here, away from bystanders. Kang warns the soldiers not to shoot, or they will hit him too. He asks if they have tear gas, and Hoon confirms they do, instructing Kang to use it. Kang insists he doesn't need a gas mask, and warns Hoon to prevent others from shooting, as they will all die if he doesn't kill the lowlife. Hoon orders his platoon to put on gas masks and stay alert, instructing them to only shoot at monsters that approach. Kang approaches the lowlife, saying the field is ready and apologizing for his grudge against lowlifes. Hoon pulls the pin on the tear gas and throws it, causing the lowlife to scream and flail wildly as the gas spreads. Kang charges in, knowing that since the lowlife deflected bullets, this pain must be new to it. As Kang attacks, he realizes the lowlife is tough, but he is likely more accustomed to pain. He knocks the lowlife's axe from its hand and unleashes a flurry of rapid strikes. His hand tingles, and he wonders why the creature is so resilient. Just then, a new man arrives, questioning the reinforcements. Hoon notices Kang's blade is damaged, and Kang worries he might exhaust himself. The newcomer jumps in and slices the lowlife, but it's unclear if the attack is effective. Impressed by the man's speed, Kang wonders who he is. The man suggests the lowlife has a separate weakness, since it is the boss of an F-rank dungeon. They agree to work together, and as Kang's sword breaks, he spots the lowlife's axe. He grabs it, aiming for its joints instead of its protected eyes. However, to their shock, the axe ends up lodged in the lowlife's butt cheeks. Embarrassed, Kang apologizes to the creature. Thanks for sticking with me all the way through to this action-packed journey. We've watched Kang face incredible challenges, from sneaking into enemy camps to unlocking new skills and battling powerful enemies. And the twist with the lowlife's unexpected weakness. Who saw that coming? But Kang's journey is far from over. The stakes are getting higher, and new threats are on the horizon. Will these new abilities be enough to survive what's next? If you're ready to see Kang push his limits even further, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next chapter. Stay tuned for more action, surprises, and of course, epic battles. See you in the next one. Solo rezzing like a Dan boss today. Remember to smash that like, share with the squad, and hit that subscribe button for more wild action. Let's go. The moment our boy feels that strange sensation crawl up his hand, he realizes the monster's weak point is its ass. It's not a critical weakness, but he pierces it anyway. The monster screams, and he tosses it aside, figuring its mouth won't be that strong either. He strikes its face immediately, while the guy behind Kang notices his talent and wonders if he's an independent. Kang sees a yellow screen pop up and gets serious. The system tells him he can't check any information due to the tutorial. Frustrated, he accepts it, not knowing what it is. He complains about not being able to use his inventory, and the guy behind him approaches. Kang expects to share the loot, but decides to run since the guy only helped in the fight. He makes excuses and bolts, while the guy tries to stop him. Realizing Kang left, the guy removes his mask, wondering who he is. A few hours later, after the monster is defeated, Kang meets up with his sister, and they get home by nightfall. Ayan notices he didn't close the door earlier and calls him immature. They clean up before eating. During dinner, she spots something on her phone. It's a video of him fighting the monster. Kang reads the compliments with a smug grin while Ayan watches. He realizes his villainous face is being talked about, and as he heads to bed, he asks her to turn off the lights. Ayan acts like a bitch, but turns the lights off because he worked hard. She tells him not to scream like a whiny bitch in the morning, since she's exhausted too. He promises to buy her a beer tomorrow and let her hear about how cool he is. She doesn't expect much but wishes him luck. Before sleeping, Kang reflects on the strong guy from earlier and wonders how many stages he cleared. He knows he would have failed if he were ordinary, but he's determined to clear stage 8. He also recalls the succubus he met yesterday. She killed him, but his horny ass is still excited to see her again. He wakes up thinking about the succubus, but punches an ugly goblin as soon as he opens his eyes. The system informs him he must defeat the cave goblin horde. It also mentions their excellent hearing. He wonders why but finds himself surrounded by goblins and starts complaining about the tutorial change. Elsewhere, a man in an office defeats everyone. An injured guy asks how they lost to someone who hasn't even joined the tutorial. The yellow-haired guy explains that even if they're stronger, they don't know how to fight. He recalls seeing the video of Kang fighting the goblin and gets excited by the talent. The tutorial for stage 5 begins, and the system notifies him that he needs to defeat a monster that hides in crowds and eats humans. He gets a tip and realizes he's dealing with a doppelganger, similar to the succubus from stage 1. Using his wisdom skill, he takes a deep breath and suddenly starts screaming, grabbing everyone's attention. He makes it clear that any bastard that moves is the culprit from now on. The dream ends, and he recalls how in Mafia, the loudest person dies first. He's never won a game of Mafia. Annoyed, he decides to eat something first. He's been making the same mistake for over a month and a half, and he tells his sister, Ayun, that this is why he's born smarter while sporting a completely new nerd look. She calls it bullshit, having just gotten off work. Ayun questions what he's showing her, and he tells her it's day 53, and he's died on the 5th round 53 times. He realizes he needs to do something different. Even though the stage says to use wisdom, he's failed every time. She teases her stupid brother and jokes he should get a brain transplant. Then, a realization hits her. She tells him to soundproof the walls instead of buying some dumb suit, as their neighbors installed a subwoofer downstairs. Re-entering stage 5, he wonders what kind of shit mission he'll face this time. He reads the system's instructions just as the spider monster screams. Knowing he has to kill it, he charges. The spider sprays a weird liquid, poisoning his hand. Without hesitation, he cuts his own hand off and slides under the monster's legs, slicing through it easily. He skips the system's tip, not caring about the monster's weakness. He realizes he's been jumping in headfirst all along instead of finding the key to the problem. The system congratulates him for clearing stage 5, and he receives the Titan's strength as a reward. Smiling menacingly, he thinks people use their brains because their bodies aren't capable enough. With his new power, he can now enhance his muscles with mana. The system shows him his stats. In a classroom, Minsu's friend teases him, but he looks tired from the tutorial after turning 18. His friend asks how the first stage was, and Minsu says it's exactly as rumored. Minsu thinks there are no real tips after stage 5, and his friend says those who clear stage 4 are top 1% and probably keep all the good info to themselves. They see someone posted about clearing stages 7 and 8, but his friend calls it fake. They read the stupid advice and figured it was written by some retard. They assume it's a troll and leave bad comments. Meanwhile, Kang gets pissed because his genuine advice was trolled. Aoyun asks why he's whining again, and he tells her he shared high-ranked tips but got trolled by bastards. She calls him stupid for bothering, but he tells her to wait. He's going to clear stage 8 and become the 3rd tutorial graduate in the nation. He talks about surpassing the guild master and president, making his sister laugh. She tells him his retarded ass can't compare to the geniuses who cleared the stages in one go. He tells her to shut up, reminding her that he cleared stages 6 and 7 in one go. As the sun sets, our boy goes to sleep, and the system asks if he's ready to enter the final stage 8. For clearing stages 6 and 7, Kang receives a B-rank long sword and armor. He realizes that if he can clear stage 8, he will be able to use his inventory and powers in real life and check the items he earned after defeating the Hobgoblin. Kang doesn't care about finishing the stage in one go, but wants it to take no more than a week. The system displays a question about his principle, which confuses him. Suddenly, the space around him starts to break. The ground cracks, and he falls into a hole, waking up in a city. Confused, he notices a girl bump into him, but pass through his formless body. This is his first time seeing a city in the tutorial, but he realizes the people around him aren't human. He observes a creature looking at him and wonders if it can see him. He realizes the creature isn't looking at him, but at a huge wave of monsters behind him. He recognizes some of the monsters and realizes this situation is far worse than the dungeon break 2 months ago, resembling the end of the world. The system gives him a timer, and he assumes this is what might happen to Earth in 5 years. A massive monster looms above him, steps on him, and his surroundings change again. A voice questions how his experience was. Kang realizes the mysterious being is a god, but the being tells him he's just a dimension administrator. Stage 8 is a personal interview, so Kang can freely ask questions, and the administrator can ask Kang questions as well. Kang asks if what he saw is the future of Earth. The administrator says it depends on what everyone does from now on. Kang questions the administrator's authority, asking if he can't just stop everything himself. The mysterious figure explains that he's only an administrator, not a guardian, and is simply maintaining balance. His role is limited to the status messages and tutorials he provides. The administrator then asks Kang why he lives his life and under what principle. Kang is curious about why the administrator is asking this. The administrator says it's because observing humans recently sparked his interest. Kang smiles, realizing he hasn't thought about this much, making him silent. He explains that no one thinks about such things. Everyone is trying to survive and find small happiness while enduring each day. The administrator asks if Kang wants to protect someone. Determined, Kang replies that he's trying to protect his family. The administrator questions if Kang wants to become a hero, but Kang says after dying a few times, he doesn't want such a cool but exhausting job. The administrator calls him a dunce, but admits he's a fan of Kang, having enjoyed watching him. Kang realizes the administrator is a sadist and tries to ask about stage 5, but their time runs out. The administrator leaves, informing Kang of many more ordeals he will face and expresses a desire to see him become the hero who saves the Earth. Kang realizes he's the one who created stage 5 and starts hating on the administrator, who is looking forward to seeing him. Kang finishes the tutorial and acquires the title of tutorial graduate. He wakes up screaming like a bitch, but realizes his sister stuffed a sock in his mouth, knowing he'd start yelling. She watches his face and sees he failed again, asking how long it'll take him this time. He smirks and opens his status window, boasting, but she just tells him to earn some money, mentioning she made a special breakfast. Annoyed by her attitude, he mutters that she acts like a bitch, which is why she doesn't have a boyfriend. Hearing this, she hits him with a utensil before leaving. After she's gone, he keeps staring at his status window, realizing the title he got isn't that impressive, since he can't use 2 titles at once. He opts to use the tutorial graduate title and opens the box from the Hobgoblin, excited to finally see what it is. Turns out, it's a skill book. He screams in happiness, and the system asks if he wants to learn Magic Explosion. He gains the skill instantly and applies some rewards to the talented education school. Meanwhile, a new civil servant, and Myung, walks to her first workplace, talented education school, where those who completed the tutorial go to get certificates. She's proud their country set up this system first, likely due to an existing infrastructure. As she approaches, excited about the future heroes she'll meet, she encounters Kang, and immediately starts crying in fear, asking him to show his real ID. His confusion grows as she becomes more scared when he speaks. The students behind him think he's blackmailing her and begin taking pictures. Instructor Kim Lee-hyun notices the delay and comes over. Kang and Kim recognize each other, and Kim checks Kang's info. He notes Kang looks different from his picture, but Kang explains it's due to his skills changing his appearance. He suggests a DNA test if they don't believe him. Kim sees Kang's cleared stage 5 and asks if he's been in any dungeons illegally. Kang admits he went in a few times before the laws changed. Kim questions the unique ability manly power listed in his info, and Kang explains it boosts his strength. Kim then asks Kang to verify if he cleared stage 5. Kang shows the skills he got in stages 3, regeneration, 4, a ring, and 5, Titan's strength, which he labeled as manly strength. Kim allows him to demonstrate. The blonde guy from earlier recognizes Kang from a Goblin video as Kang takes a deep breath and screams loudly, scaring everyone. Kim is satisfied and lets Kang proceed to the first floor while the blonde guy watches, smiling creepily. After being rejected due to his ID photo looking different, Kang thinks his lion's roar might change people's opinions. Instead, he overhears students saying he shouted at a woman and made her faint. He realizes the rumors have gotten twisted. Kim, the head of Songnam's talented education school, then comes on stage and introduces himself. He explains that for the next 10 days, they'll have theory classes in the morning and practice in the afternoon. Meals and accommodations are provided, and as long as no one causes major trouble, they'll get their certificates. Kim talks about how the world's been changing drastically, and mentions that information about dungeons and monsters is constantly being updated. He admits that what they learn now might not be fully accurate in the future, but the focus is on survival. Kang feels Kim is already being a downer, and after the first period ends, he's bored, wondering how he'll survive the next 10 days. A muscular guy named Gwak-soo approaches Kang to introduce himself. Having heard about Kang's earlier commotion, Gwak decides to put him in his place by squeezing his hand. But Kang, using Titan's strength, endures and squeezes back even harder. The musclehead retard realizes he's losing the strength battle, but with everyone watching, he can't back down. Suddenly, Gwak's veins burst open and blood splatters everywhere. The blonde guy Yusung watches the scene unfold with a creepy smile. An ambulance takes Gwak away, and Kang tries to explain to Kim that Gwak's arm just suddenly swelled up and exploded. Kim, naturally, doesn't believe him, but Kang insists that without his unique ability, he'd have been the one hurt. He even suggests checking the CCTV footage. Kim asks him about his manly strength ability, but Kang dodges the question and makes excuses, so Kim lets him off and tells him to return to the classroom. Exhausted from all the trouble, Kang sits down, and Yusung moves next to him, introducing himself as an 18-year-old who just completed the tutorial. Sung tells Kang to talk to him comfortably and excitedly asks how he managed to pop the old retard's hand, calling it an amazing skill. Kang tries to defend himself, saying it wasn't his fault. Kim returns to the classroom, saying that because of the delay, he'll go over the main points. He explains that dungeons are classified into 2 types: ordinary dungeons and irregular dungeons. Ordinary ones break after 4 weeks, causing monsters to pour out, while irregular dungeons have unpredictable break times. To stop a dungeon break, either the main core must be destroyed or the normal core needs to be periodically attacked to delay the break. As Kim explains this, another musclehead retard starts complaining about the useless education they're receiving. Kang thinks these macho idiots are a real pain in the ass. Kim warns the guy that another outburst will get him expelled. The musclehead challenges Kim, asking what he's going to do about it. Kim sets up a challenge. For 1 minute, he'll only block or evade attacks. And if the trainee lands even a single hit, he'll graduate immediately. If not, he'll be expelled. Kang and Sung, despite being annoyed by the situation, get excited, thinking the upcoming fight looks fun.